Hello, everybody, and welcome to another session of this 24-hour genealogy marathon with Legacy Family Tree webinars. My name is Daniel Horowitz, and it's a pleasure for me to be here next to Jeff and Marianne, taking care of things behind the scene, and in this case, also lecturing and bringing you an interesting lecture about how to find Jewish records in the MyHeritage search engine. I'm gonna just move to my presentation here to introduce myself. My name, as I said before, is Daniel Horowitz again. I'm dedicated to genealogy since 1986, and I was the teacher and study guide editor of the Family History Project Searching for My Roots in Venezuela for 15 years. I am involved in crowdsource and transcription digitization projects, and I'm also volunteering my time for the Israel Genealogy Research Association. Since 2006, I have been working very proudly for MyHeritage, where I am today the expert genealogist over there, and part of my duties are to liaising with genealogy societies, bloggers, and media, as well as lecturing and attending conferences around the world, or in this case, just giving webinars and enjoying every part of it. Okay, and as I said, I'm very proud to work for a company that since day one is looking to help you with features to connect your past, your present, and your future, and to empower you to discover what makes you who you are. And the MyHeritage platform started actually as a repository or a tool to build family trees. Today we have 79 million of those trees, and the number is, of course, growing every day. We also have 13.3 billion historical records, and this is going to be the main focus of today's presentation. And also, that number grows in almost every week because MyHeritage don't rest to bring you more and more records every time we can. But we also have DNA test for genealogy, and our database has 4.8 million of those DNA kits. All those are getting matches between themselves and with others as well. People who have a DNA test in MyHeritage also gets classification of their ethnicity and allocated in probably multiple of the genetic groups that MyHeritage has, and whoever wants can upload, to upgrade their DNA to receive health reports. Now, all this available in 42 languages. So that obviously makes it very easy for people around the world to be able to do their genealogy and to do the research in their own language. So MyHeritage has definitely a global strength over others out there with this language capacity, but we also have a superior technology, and my goal today is to show you how this technology will help you to find not only Jewish records, but records in general. We try to be as friendly and approachable as we can. And back to the databases, we have some exclusive databases, and I'm going to point out to you those interesting one for your Jewish research. MyHeritage will offer you a basic website or software that you can use to host your tree and manage your genealogy. The matches technology and the discoveries technology as well, and also a mobile technology that will help you take your research wherever you go. But let's talk about the search engine, which is the place, the obvious place where MyHeritage holds all the records. And we released this in 2012. Since then, we have been growing the database and improving the technology to help you search. And this has technologies, efficient and smart technologies like the name matching, which I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes. And of course, it's also available, both the interface in the records in 42 languages. But very recently, we have just made a big release of improvements in this search engine. So before I go into the specific records, I wanted just to give you a couple of hints on how this new search engine works and how it's easier for you to use it. So first of all, we have created simple forms that you can use just to type whatever information you know about the person. And we also allow you to stay up to date with a way to always look at the most recently added collection. Easy to edit the search when you are working, filters that dynamically will help you to fine-tune your results and distinguish between family trees and historical records, because not everybody likes to get information from others' family trees without the proper sourcing. And so you can focus only in the records if that is your choice. So this is what you get when you go to myheritage.com/research, or you select the research option from the menu. And in here, you will notice at the very beginning that you have a very simple form that will ask you for the name, the year of birth, and the place. And we have detected that those are the minimal criteria that most of the people use in order to search for their relatives. So I'm going to just use my name, and I'm starting to type it. And as soon as I start to type it, I see that MyHeritage offers me to match this name exactly. So if your name, or if my name will be with a double N, with I or IL, I can say that I want that name specifically exact as I type it, or I can say, no, please do a more wider search and bring all the names, similar names that you can find. And then you can choose if you want spelling variations, if you want to match initials, if only the D, or if you want to start with DAN, for example, and then find all the variations about that first name. The same goes for the last name. And of course, I need to use mine as an example. And here also, I will need to choose if I want to name that match exactly, or if I want to apply all kind of technologies that MyHeritage has for you to get similar last names. I will suggest you to start with a broader search. Just let the technology work for you, and then once you're seeing the results, you will be able to filter and to say, okay, now give me only the exact matches, and then you will find all the Horowitz with an H and not other spelling variations that you may have. The birth year is actually very easy, just a 4-digit number. And no, I wasn't born in 1953, but this is a sample. So here, if you don't know the exact year of birth, no worries, that's perfectly fine. You can still use this tool in order to add a couple of years before and after and make that around a certain year. So if I'm using 1953 and I add in 2 or 5 years before and after, I'm going to expand the time lapse that I'm looking for from probably 1950 to 1955, 57, and that will bring me obviously more results. Then we have an option to calculate this year, and that's very good because I'm actually very bad at math. But if I can say that the person was of a certain age in a specific year, MyHeritage is going to be able to calculate for me the year of birth, which is actually what this field is asking from me. And then we have a place, and we can also choose that the place must match, and that will limit all the results to the place that I'm putting here, in this case, Venezuela. And if I will mark that as a place will match, MyHeritage will bring me only results that are connected to that country. So here again, it's kind of a wild search if you don't want the place to match, but you want to be taken in account when you are performing this search. Now, of course, that there are more things that you can add to the search. For example, you can add details of the father, and also here the spelling variations for the first name or the given name, the middle name, or the last name could be applied at any point in time. Also the mothers, also the spouse, or information about the mother, spouse, or information about the death of the person. And here you can select either a specific day, month, or year, or a place. And all those fields are not mandatory, so you can choose what to field according to whatever you know about the person. And there is plenty of more events and facts that you can add in order to make your search more accurate and more exact. Now, here is where we allow you to select if you want to use our global name translation technology. And this means that it doesn't matter in what language you are searching, MyHeritage will give you results in multiple languages. And this is particularly of interest if you are searching for Jewish records, and I will let you know exactly why in a couple of minutes. But first, let's see what the result page looks like. So the new result page, to start with, you will have a compact and cleaner view. It's much easier to see the results, and you're actually getting more results per page. Remember that difference between trees and records? Well, right there you will have an icon that will identify is this record is coming from another tree or a record, and a tree can be a tree from MyHeritage, a tree from Family Search, from Genie, or WikiTrees, which are the databases of family trees that we have on MyHeritage. Any other thing, it will be a record and it will have the proper icon. Also, you will have always on the top the search bar that you saw in the beginning, and you will be able to modify your search and perform perform this search with whatever criteria you have selected for here or modified. Okay, and on the left side, you're going to see the categories and the collections that we have classifications for our records. So if you're interested, let's say, in birth, marriage, and death, or newspapers or book on publications, you can click over there and see all the collections that are in that category, or maybe a subcategory over there. And then you can just filter and keep drilling down until you get to the specific collection that you want to talk or to see. You can add more information, or you can delete previous information that you have added right here as you go. And this again will filter your results, as here, for example, I have chosen birth, marriage, and death, and I have included a death year, so I'm getting only now death records with the precise information that I'm requesting. You have a bigger area to click, and believe it or not, I still point my mouse to the orange area where it says view records, but you can actually click in any part of the white space over there, and that will actually open the result record. Now, the result record is going to be open in a new tab because we don't want you to lose these results that you are analyzing it. So a new tab will be open. You will be able to evaluate and learn from that record. Whenever you want, you close it and you go back to this list and you choose and search for the next record. Okay, so let's see this in action. I'm going to use a fake, well, not that fake name, but obviously not of my family, friend Burkett. And this is the results of the search for this person in this case. And here you see interested in this 1940 United States federal census. I actually think that this is a wonderful collection itself of information. I like very much this census. And this is how the resulting page or the record page looks like. On the top, you will have the name of the person and the name of the collection, so you will always know where you are standing. If you want to search this collection in deep, you will have the description of the collection right there. And in the middle, you will have also all the transcription that MyHeritage did from the record. So I see his birth, I see his residence. Why I like the 1940 census? Because it gives me also the residence in 1935. It also gives me information about the page or the census, when and where it was taken. And of course, whenever an image is available, definitely you should look for it and see it with your own eyes in detail. In this case, whenever you have more than one page, I will strongly recommend you to go and browse the pages before and after, because you may find other relatives living around or mentioned in the previous or the next pages. You can see this full screen. You can also download. You can zoom in, and you can save this record to your computer without any problem. Now on the top, as I said, you will have the description of the collection, and you can click here to just search that specific collection. But remember that MyHeritage has technology to help you. So what we have done here is we took all the information from this specific record, and it may not be only Fran Burkett, but it may be also the wife or the kids or any other person mentioned in this record. And we are going to let you know that we have other records, similar records that all it seems they are related to this person. In this case, the 1920 and 1930 census, also the 1910, or a family tree, or the death registered in Illinois for this same gentleman. So you can click in any of those names, and you can keep searching and keep getting new records and keep getting more and more information about the guy. Now, I mentioned the global name translation, and I want to point out really why this is so useful, and especially whenever you are looking into Jewish records, because most of the Jewish records did not originate in the United States and did not originate in Latin characters. I don't want to say English, but Latin characters. And I may be looking for a Jacob Schmidt. But Jacob Schmidt probably was in Greece or in Israel, or Jewish records are very often in Hebrew or Yiddish. And of course, you have other Latin characters and spelling variations from the same name. What about Russia and Ukraine, the whole empire of Russia that ruled Europe for many, many years. So those records may be in a foreign language that you may or may not know how to read and write. But no worries. The global name translation technology will make sure that it doesn't matter what language you use to search for those records, we're going to bring them to you and show you the results. For example, if I will be searching for my cousin Alexander Abramov, and from the last name we can all infer that he is in Russia, Ukraine. In this case, he's actually in Ukraine. I don't know Cyrillic. I don't know Ukrainian. I only know barely English, Spanish, and Hebrew. So I have only one option to search with Latin characters. But MyHeritage found him actually in the Kiev Orthodox Church books. And here will be my very specific tip for you. Jewish records may be happening also in church books because church was the organization that had to take records for specific areas, especially in Ukraine. And of course, because they are in Ukraine, they are written in Ukrainian, in Cyrillic. But MyHeritage will retransliterate whatever names appears in the record, and I'm going to see it right there next to the Cyrillic. So I know that the first one is actually Alexei Abramov, and the last one is Alexander Trofimov Efremov. So probably this is not my guy. My guy will be the first or the second one. Now, for the rest of the record, I will definitely need to find somebody to help me translating the record, but at least I have a lead and I don't need to start learning Ukrainian right now. Now, you can always search by a specific category, and they're right there in the main page. And no, Jewish records are not a category, but we have censuses, we have trees, photos, newspapers, school records, or maps, directories, and government records. So those are actually very useful if you want to filter them right from the beginning. The other thing you can do is to stay updated always with the latest collection that MyHeritage releases. And you do that by going a little bit further down on the same page. Every week you're going to see this change dynamically because every week we are posting and revealing new collections that we have. All you need to do is click on the View All button, and you are actually going to get to the collection catalog. Let me jump there very fast. And the collection catalog can be found also under the research menu on the top, as you can see it now on the screen. So in here, you can either sort those results by the number of records or by the last updated. And my preference is to do it actually by the last updated record always. On the left side, you're going to find also the different collections and categories that we have classified the records on MyHeritage. And here you can choose a specific category and you will see subcategories and you will be able to drill down and go deeper into that collection. You can also refine this by location. For example, I can use Europe because probably most of the records, Jewish records, are going to be located in Europe, and then you will be able to go over the different countries in Europe. You will be able to see how many collections we have, and probably the most common countries are going to be Hungary, especially, well, actually for Ashkenazi Jew, but you can search in all the collections that are related to Hungary, or maybe Poland, and you can start seeing there a few of the specific Jewish collections that we have. And in Poland, for example, we have a very nice collection of Auschwitz death certificates, very important for Jewish research, and even more, just when we yesterday commemorate another year passed since the Holocaust, and we had here in Israel all kind of memorials and things, but also the Poland and Lublin Roman Catholic church books and other churches as well. Russia was huge at some point, and it's still very big, and we do have some collections related to Russia, marriages, birth, death. Also, a lot of Russian immigrants into the United States. So even if you're in the US and you're looking for your immigrants relative, you should come here and check those specific collections by countries. Now, as I said, Ukraine also, in the church, this is where I found my cousin Alexander, and also we have some birth and baptism from a huge span of years from the 1700s and the 1800s, so it's definitely worthwhile to check. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a Jewish category, at least not yet. And there is a way actually for you to look for Jewish records, and this is to use the search capability of the collection catalog. Right there on the top left, you can see that you can type the word, whatever word you're looking for, and I will recommend you just to use a 3-letter word Jew, because that will bring you Jew, Jewish, Jewishness, the Jews, and any other combination of the work. And there you will be able to see the collections where not only we may have the word Jew in the title, but also in the description. Again, remember those church records and synagogues records, whenever we have detected that those contains also Jewish records, and they do, we noted that on the description, and the search is going to also be useful in the description as well. So let's go over a few of the collections that MyHeritage has dedicated specifically for Jewish records. And the first one I like is the Lithuanian internal passports. And although the name is passports, those are identification cards that people needed in Lithuania to travel inside the country, not necessarily outside, but just to move from town to town. And those are mostly family documents. So one document will bring you a lot of names. It will have mostly the pictures of the family, although in MyHeritage we don't have images for this collection. And I'm very proud of this specific collection because I was one of the people that had to do with bringing this from the Litvak SIG group, which is one of the groups dedicated to research the Jews in Lithuania. And they keep updating this database, but MyHeritage went the extra mile with them. Let me first show you a sample of the record. You can see that there is a lot of transcription and a lot of information, also notes and other family members. As I said before, no images, but at least you know that this exists in the archive, and you will get also the archive reference. So it's up to you to be able to go into the archive or contact the archive and get the copy of the record if you need it. And as I said before, MyHeritage went the extra mile with the Litvak SIG, and just a few weeks ago, we finished a very nice agreement with them, and we are now sharing all their databases, and we have detected about 4 million names in their records, and you can use MyHeritage to search for those records and find your Lithuanian family out there. So this is one of the newest collections that MyHeritage brought you for that area. This is another example of the documents that we have, and again, all the information right there. Okay, and another collection that we very recently released is the Austria or Vienna Jewish Vital Records. This is huge. Everybody that was born, married, or died between 1835 and 1938 in the city of Vienna. Here you have the name not only of the person that was born, but also the parents. If they were marrying, you have a spouse and you have 4 parents, 2 for the groom, 2 for the bride. Or if the death of the person, you may have a spouse and also the parents. So again, this is a very important collection for Jewish in Vienna. The other collection that we recently released, and it's also including Vienna, but also Munich and Barcelona and Hungary and Warsaw, is the Index of Jews Displaced and Refugee Cards. This is after World War II, and all these cards are coming from the JDC, or also known as the Joint, and this organization helped a lot of survivors and a lot of Jews displaced or refugees after the Holocaust and after the war to move through different countries. And you will find over there a lot of information and a lot of people. They do have images. This is the page, the dedicated page that we have for this collection. 241,000 records that we have. Very simple search just by name and the birth year, and then you will be able to see a sample or a transcription of the person, and most of these people were accompanied by other family groups, and you can find over there everybody transcribing the index. So if you're looking for somebody and we don't have a specific card, but the person was traveling with somebody else, the person may be registered over there. And then you have down below a source, which is a direct link to the JDC website, where you're going to be able to see more information and also the image for that record. We already talked plenty about church and synagogues. In this case, we have the Slovakia one from 1592 and 1910. This has a huge span of years, and this collection includes actually images. Good luck trying to reading them, but you know, there are experts out there, and I'm sure they will be more than happy to help you trying to decipher whatever it says. MyHeritage has indexed here whatever basic information for you to be able to understand if this is the record that you're looking for. Holocaust memorials, we were talking about that yesterday a lot, commemorating and remembering all the people that perished. So we have also the Jewish memorials of residents in Germany. This is also called the minority census between 39 and 45. Most of those people may or may not survive, but they were registered as German citizens or people living in Germany between 39 and 45, between the years of the war. And again, you have birth information, you have residence information, you have the place if they were deported or they emigrated and if they survived, or if he is a victim or a survivor right there. And yes, this is actually the German minority census. This is only 39. We have this as a separate collection. And one important person that we have in this collection is Mr. Leo Beck. He is a survivor, and he founded then later a museum and helped a lot of people to find like other people and other family in other places and in the United States. You can see that this again is a transcription. We don't have more images of these records, but you can see that MyHeritage was very good finding other records that are related to this person right on the right side of the image. We also have Auschwitz death certificate. I already mentioned that under the Poland collection. And yes, millions of people died in Auschwitz, but not all of them were actually recorded in certificates. So the amount of the collection is quite limited. But still, if you have a relative or you suspect to have relatives, you should try here and try to find the people from your family that may have been deported and died in Auschwitz if they have a death certificate there. And if we're staying in Poland, I also mentioned the Pietrów Trybunalski, and this is not only birth, but for this area we have marriages and we also have death, both from the 1800s period, from the 1808 to 1870. If you have Polish people living over there, you may find them in these very special collections, all transcribed. Again, unfortunately, because of limitation of the archive, we don't have the actual images, but at least you will know that over there the record exists, and you will be able to contact the record, the archive, and request the record. And it's very important always to try to contact local people and to try to contact the archive for those records. Now, the Czech Republic, even before when it was Czechoslovakia, also had Jewish records inside the church books, and this collection also goes in a huge span of years from the 1552 to 1948. So you have over there not only the two main world wars, but also before that and everybody living in this area. An example of this collection is Daniel Weigel. You can see that this is pretty much a Jewish name, and the father is Franz Weigel, and you can see other information. And yes, don't be confused by the religion Catholic, because probably the church had to put that there, so don't get confused. If you know your people were Jews or they were Jews, they were known as Jews after the certain year, they may be recorded in church records as Catholic people. You will have the image right there, so you will be able to read the whole record without any problem. Now, Belarus also had Jews, and we have an interesting collection about partisans, meaning people that fought against the Nazi regime between 41 and 45 during World War II, and they were listed in all kinds of different sources, and you can find them in this Belarus collection. It's small, but again, Belarus suffered a lot, and they do have good records, and we are trying to get more and more records when they appeared. Another good collection, especially if your family comes from England or even passed through England, and a lot of Jews did that after the war, is the Jewish Chronicles. This is a collection of a newspaper, a Jewish newspaper in England. So a lot of notifications, a lot of articles, weddings, birth, and all kind of notices that you can find over there. People looking and searching for others will put notice on the newspapers, and you will be able to get an image of that newspaper and find exactly what it was said from your relative. Now, take into account that this is a collection that was OCR. It was applied optical character recognition. So probably a name like Singer, which is my last name, may not be that helpful, but if you're looking for a less common word as a last name, I'm pretty sure we're going to find it right there for you. Now, not specifically in the Jewish collection, but BillionGraves have cemeteries from all over the world, and you can find here a lot of Jews. MyHeritage made sure that all the collections in Israel are actually, or the cemeteries in Israel are actually photographed and transcribed. So again, in this case, I'm looking for Moshe Cohen. It cannot get more Jewish than that. And of course, I'm going to find him in Tel Aviv, but I'm going to find him in Hebrew. And you can see how the translation technology applies here and gets translation automatically. So I know that this is actually my guy. The advantage of this is that we do have images from the stones of these burials and cemeteries, but also we will give you a link to the BillionGrave page where you will find more information, and you will even find the exact location of this burial in the cemetery, and you will find all the cemetery, as I said, already photographed and transcribed without any problem. Now, MyHeritage also have family trees, and a lot of Jews are building family trees both in MyHeritage, so that's another collection that you should look, or in Family Search, or in Genie, and each one has its own collection right there. Now, I would like to mention for a second the record matches technology, which is the technology that will bring the records to you and not making you to do a search for these records. And the reason for that is because there is one important collection that we have here that it's not searchable, but will get you through the record matches. The record matches looks like this in your family tree. It's a brown icon for the card of the person, or in the upper left corner as well, you will have a note over there, and you will be able to see it like this. Record matches, I like to see them by sources. You will find them also under the discovery menu. And the collection I would like to point out is the Adolpsen Archive collection. Adolpsen Archive is an archive in Germany dedicated to Holocaust and World War II documents, mostly, not exclusively, but very mostly about Jewish records. MyHeritage is going to pair those records to your family tree, and this is, for example, my great-grandfather that was found in this collection, and from here MyHeritage is going to point you directly, instead of reviewing the match as we normally do, we're going to point you directly to the record itself in the Arolsen archive. In here, you may find a lot of images, and you will be able to evaluate and download those images without any problem. Just right-click on it, and you save the images to your computer and then later to your family tree. Now, remember the translation technology for the search engine? Well, that will also be applied to record matches. So if you have burials or records in another language, for whatever language you are using in your family tree, you will be able to find them very easily also here through the record matches technology. Now, I'm going to show you very fast some Israeli records that we have as well, because if your family is Jew, probably they passed through Israel, even if they didn't stay in Israel, but you can go and look for records over there, even if your family were never in Israel, but they contributed to Israel in donations or things like that, then you will definitely be able to find them over there. And a few of the collections that we have, as you can see, is the Israel Genealogy Research Association that has a copy of their index, yeah, it's a copy of their index in MyHeritage, and you can actually find records over there about your people. It's a dual language collection that has a lot of records, and also updating every month more and more records over there. We have obituaries from Israel, and this is a free collection. And by the way, every time that you see the free icon over there, it means that you don't need to pay to see those records, and most of the Israeli and Jewish records are actually free. And in here you will find, in Hebrew of course, but you will find the obituary, the person or the people mentioned over there, and if you have luck, you may even find an image that was uploaded with the obituary. We have the 1944 Israel phone book. So if your family was here, and not everybody of course had a phone in that time in Israel, but they may be listed here, and you will be able to see the whole page of the phone directory. Now imagine that in 1944, phone numbers had only four digits. So definitely not a lot of phone numbers, only the very important people, and doctors, lawyers, or commercials had phones in that time. And one of my really preferred collections for Israel will be the mandatory Palestine naturalization applications between 37 and 47, meaning all the citizens that were in Israel while the British mandate was in place. And this is a huge advantage, because that means that the records are actually going to be both in English and Hebrew. And everybody tried to get a citizenship application, just as in the United States. It worked pretty much the same. So here you're not going to find only one page, but you're going to find the whole file with all kinds of records. A little bit of a sneak peek that I can give you on the upcoming Jewish collections in MyHeritage. One, if there's the Yalkut Pirsumim or the Gazetteer that publish announcements in Israel since 1947. We are doing not only OCR, but we are doing transcription of the names and make sure that first names, last names are all identified in this collection. Now, it's a huge collection. We hope to have it released at least in a quarter or between a quarter and a half of his old content, and just take in account that a lot of people, when they arrive to Israel, they change their names. So you can find them here either by the previous name or the new name that they acquire when they arrive to Israel. So you will be able to find very easy your people that immigrate to Israel in the early days. And if you're talking about immigration, MyHeritage is also working on the immigration database of people legally or illegally and coming to Israel even since the 1919, so way before even the establishment of the State of Israel, and a wealth of information coming with images and totally searchable very soon. And not only Israel, but we are keeping with Vienna and with Europe. We are working on immigration request cards that were done between 1838 and 1940. We're talking about 35,000 records of people, not only cards, but whole files with a lot of information about Jews trying to leave Vienna during the war. So definitely, if you have Austrian roots, you will find your people here. Okay, so to finalize, how you can discover your family here, very easy. You register even for free at myheritage.com. You go to the search engine just by clicking research in the main menu, and you search for your family, and hopefully you will be finding them very fast. Now I'm going to jump over the announcements because I do have a few questions that I am seeing here. One of the questions is if this is being recorded, and the answer is yes. This session is being recorded and it will be available later on to view on the legacy page, and it will be free, actually forever, because all the MyHeritage lectures are free forever. Other recordings or other webinars from this 24-hour series are also being recorded and will be placed for free in the Family Tree webinar page for a week, and after that you will need to have a subscription, and I have copied here in the chat all the information about how to get those recordings and how to get the subscription later on. I also give you the link to the syllabus for this lecture, and I will give you one more link in just a second for the next lecture that you may need to register, and I will let you know in a second how this will work. First, I have here a question from Chaim regarding the Save Record button that I show in all the images for the records. So Chaim, just is very easy. Whenever you click Save Record, we will try to save that record for the same person in your family tree. If we don't detect the person in your tree, then we will ask you to please help us identify the person in your tree, and then we are going to create a link and associate that record to the person in the tree. You need to have a family tree in MyHeritage in order to save that record. Okay, so I would like to know how easy to add information. So give it a try. Yes, you're asking about adding information to a tree. We do have some other webinars regarding that, and I will suggest you to look into those webinars later on. How can you filter only records in the search engines, is asking Uri, without the family trees. Uri, that's a wonderful question, and we did that question to ourselves as well. And I can tell you that we are working on a feature that very soon will allow you to filter and to actually be able to see only the trees results or the records results, which is actually what most of the people are asking, to clear up the results from those trees. Now, I do want to get you a prize because MyHeritage is here not only to give you free accounts, basic accounts, and free webinars, also to give you a complete year or a year of the complete plan on MyHeritage. Will give you everything that you need to build an unlimited family tree, to get all the matches and all the records and everything you need at MyHeritage. And Jeff told me how to push here a button and get this random selector from the people attending, and this give me, let me see, this is Maria Epic, and I hope, Maria, I am pronouncing your name correctly. So Maria, thank you very much for being here, and I'm probably pronouncing the name more South American with my Spanish accent. So I am taking note about your prize here. Congratulations. And you will receive a note from Jeff very soon. Unfortunately, I don't have any more time to answer questions, but I can tell you that you can keep on with this 24-hour webinar, and you will need to go into the next link or to register, or to the email that you found in your inbox a couple of hours ago, because we are back to back for 24 hours in this webinar series. So thank you everybody very much for being here, and I hope to see you all right in the next session. Goodbye everybody, and see you there.